Okay, so let's set the scene. It's not a moment of triumph. It's devastation. We're in Tokyo, spring of 1945.
The very end of the war.
Right. And the city is just a wasteland of fire and rubble. And we're following this man, he's 76 years old, being driven through these completely bombed out streets.
And he's heading toward the site where his life's work, his home, his shuchikanduju, it's all been reduced to ash by the fire bombings in March.
It's an unbelievably powerful image to start with. And that man is Gichin Funakoshi. Our deep dive today is, well, it's into his life. We're using a novelized biography to trace this incredible path he took.
It's a path that, it transformed a martial art into a genuinely global philosophy.
And the contrasts in his life are just staggering. He starts as this fragile, sickly kid in Okinawa.
From the Shizoku class, too, so
Yep.
a former samurai family in the old Ryukyu kingdom.
Exactly. So he has this aristocratic background, but then you see him later in Tokyo living with this extreme humility. He becomes the spiritual founder of modern karate-do, and his most famous teaching is about nonviolence.
It's the ultimate paradox, isn't it? He only took up the local martial arts, it was called Tude back then, not to be a warrior, but literally just to strengthen his own fragile health, to find a, quote, moral and spiritual path.
Which takes us right back to the beginning. He's 5 years old, it's around 1874, and the family doctor's report is just grim.
Yeah, the doctor says something like, very weak. He will need care. Little outdoor life, much calm. But then his long-term recommendation for him to actually thrive was to learn Tude.
So the doctor's prescribing combat training as what, preventative medicine?
Pretty much. A survival strategy. But because he was so frail, Funakoshi spent all this time indoors focusing on calligraphy and literature. And this wasn't just a hobby.
It was foundational.
Totally. It taught him patience, discipline, and this is the key part, it taught him how to listen, really listen. Those are the skills that made him such an incredible teacher later on, not just a fighter.
And the art he learned wasn't from just one source. It had these dual roots from two defining masters.
And they could not have been more different. You had Anko Asado and Ankiri Tosu.
Okay, so let's start with Asado. He was the root, right?
Right, the root of the strategic, aristocratic side of the art. An expert in te, fencing, military arts. For him, it was all about discipline and intensity. Funakoshi trained with him every night, often in secret.
And the source material really emphasizes Asado's method. It's relentless. Quality over quantity.
Oh, absolutely. He'd make Funakoshi repeat a single movement for hours, sometimes days, until it was just perfect. He wasn't just teaching a move.
He was teaching internalization.
Exactly. Asado's core teaching was, don't be satisfied with learning the kata, become the kata. It's a moral instruction as much as a physical one.
Okay, but if Asado was this deep, secretive root, how did the art ever get out into the public?
Well, that's where the second pillar comes in, Ankuitosu. He's the branch. He was more accessible, closer to the people, and he was obsessed with pedagogy.
With the method of teaching.
Yes, he was the real revolutionary. Itosu was the one who insisted that Tude had to leave the shadows and be taught in public schools to strengthen the youth.
That's a massive leap, though, going from secret nighttime training to, a gym class. How did he structure an art built for life or death situations so it could be taught safely to kids?
He literally wrote the curriculum.
Yeah.
He knew the traditional kata were way too complex for children with, as he put it, immature bodies. So between 1901 and 1905, he created the 5 Pinan kata.
And the name Pinan itself means peace and tranquility in the local Okinawan dialect.
Which is perfect, right? Because they were designed to instill calm, not aggression. He extracted fundamental movements, the Kihan, from really advanced kata like Kusanku and Pasai, and built a 5-stage path for development.
And this system he created, it leads directly to his famous 10 precepts in 1908. He sent these to the Japanese Ministries of Education and War. This wasn't just a memo.
No, it was a political statement. It was a declaration that Tada wasn't a weapon. It was a tool for building character. It was about health, self-control, humility. And Funakoshi was right there helping Itosu teach these new forms to school kids.
So that standardization was everything. It's what turned Tude from a regional secret into something that could be exported. It paved the way for Funakoshi to become its ambassador.
And that happened almost overnight. The catalyst was a demonstration he gave in 1921 for Prince Hirohito.
And that event basically cemented his status as the main guy, the representative of Okinawa Te.
Which led directly to the invitation in 1922. The Ministry of Education asked him to present at the National Athletic Festival in Tokyo.
And a lot of people think he was invited by Jigoro Kanja, the founder of Judo, but that wasn't actually the case at first.
Correct. But Kanju's was there, and he was so impressed by Funakoshi's teaching method that he invited him to give another demonstration at the Kujukan.
And that's the seal of approval, getting a nod from the biggest figure in modern Japanese buju.
It was invaluable, and it forced Funakoshi to speed up the whole standardization process. He knew that to build a bridge to mainland Japan, the art had to speak the language of modern Japanese physical education.
Which meant making some pretty big changes.
Huge changes. He adopted the white uniform, the kaikogi, and the kyuden ranking system, just like in judo. It made the art look legitimate, especially to the university students he was targeting.
And then there was the language barrier. He changed the Okinawan name Pinan to Hayam.
Same, meaning peace and calm, but much easier for Japanese speakers to say. And here's a key detail for anyone who practices today. He inverted the teaching order. Pinan Nidan became Heian Shodan, the first one you learn, because it was a better starting point for total beginners.
These were all brilliant tactical moves.
Yeah.
But his personal reality in Tokyo was, well, it was a world away from the prestigious image he had at the Kujukan.
Oh, completely. He arrived in 1922. He was 54 years old and a total stranger.
And this is the anecdote that I think defines his character. To survive, to pay for his room at a student dorm, this man, this envoy with samurai heritage, took a job as the janitor.
It's just an incredible act of humility. He's sweeping floors, cleaning, living in poverty. But then, the source says at night, he would go into the courtyard alone and practice his most advanced kata, like kusanku, under the moonlight.
The hidden master, the caretaker practicing this secret art while everyone else slept.
Exactly. And eventually, of course, the students saw him, and those quiet, informal lessons in the courtyard, those were the seeds that grew into the first university karate clubs at Gichin and Waseda. He built his school through pure dedication.
Which eventually led to him building a proper doju, the Shuchukan, the Hall of Waving Pines.
And Shuchter, Waving Pines, was actually his poetry name. It was inspired by the sound of the wind in the pine trees back home in Shuri.
I love that. He was a poet first.
He was. And the famous tiger emblem, the Tora, was designed by his artist friend Honkusugi. It's an amazing piece of design. The tiger is inside this irregular circle, which is drawn with a single stroke to symbolize that perfection is harmony.
But there's a detail there that most people miss, right? The tail.
Yes. This is the key insight. The tiger's tail is curled downwards. This is a direct reference to the traditional Tora no Meiki, the rolled-up scroll of secret teachings.
So it's not just a symbol of ferocity. It's a key. It's telling you where the secrets are.
Precisely. Kusugi was saying that Funakoshi's 1935 book, Karate-do Kishin, was the secret scroll, now made public. It was a commitment to transparency in Buju.
And that commitment to philosophy brings us right back to where we started, that devastating car ride in 1945.
As he's looking at the ruins, one of his students finally asks the big question. How do you reconcile learning to fight when the ultimate goal is peace, or heiwa?
That's the question that defines his entire legacy. It's what's written on his monument now. Karate ni sentenashi.
In karate, there is no first attack. When you learn these incredibly powerful techniques but are forbidden from ever starting a fight, you're forced into an internal battle.
The real fight is against yourself.
That's what he taught. If you manage to end a fight without having started it and without having hit anyone, then you are close to being a master. The real victory is internal. It's conquering your own anger, your pride, your desire to respond.
And this philosophical tension played out right inside his dojo, didn't it? I'm thinking of that famous photograph from the 1930s with his two top disciples.
Absolutely. You had this incredible tension. On one side, there's Jima Shinkin, his most loyal early student. For Jima, tradition was law. The forms were immovable.
He was the guardian of the root.
He was. And on the other side, you have Funakoshi's own son, Gigo, the young master, a genius who questioned everything. He was the one who developed the high dynamic kicks and the deep stances that really define modern Shunya.
But Giga was also very sick by 1945.
Tragically, yes. So you have Funakoshi watching his most loyal student cling to the past, while his brilliant dying son is dragging the art into the future. It must have been an immense personal struggle.
So how did he reconcile that? Did he pick a side?
He saw the tension itself as a blessing. He understood that the real tradition isn't the moves themselves, but the principle behind them. Change is continuity as long as the core spirit is maintained. The struggle between Gima's tradition and Gigo's innovation was what kept the art alive.
And the physical practice of that philosophy often comes down to the concept of the unbuzen.
Yes, the line of execution in a kata. It was designed by Itosu as this brilliant teaching tool. It basically means you have to start and finish the kata in the exact same spot.
Right, you can imagine a beginner doing all these powerful moves and ending up 3 feet to the left.
Exactly. And Funakoshi taught that the Embuzen ensures that the spirit has measured well. If you end up off your mark, it means you had an error in your focus, your balance, your precision. It's instant self-correction.
Which brings us back, full circle, to the ruins in 1945. Funakoshi is looking at the ultimate physical error. His Duchu is gone, wiped out by external forces.
He is, but his response is pure philosophy in action. He gathers his students in the rubble and says, "The Duji is no more than a place where we shelter. The essential is not the walls, it is being together."
He accepts the reality, the physical structure is gone, but the spirit, the community that remains.
It's the ultimate test of his own teaching. The war destroyed his physical center, but his own personal Embuzen held perfectly. He was ready to start again from the exact same philosophical starting point.
So we'll leave you with the question he left his students. If your life is a kata, and outside events, disasters, failures, the ruins of your own past, try to pull you off your Embuzen, what are the internal principles you've cultivated that make sure you always return to your moral starting point? What is the Embuzen of your life?